Did you know Variety, the children's charity, is the entertainment charity started by a group of show business people who found an abandoned baby in a theatre way back in 1928. These kind-hearted performers raised so much money to help the lost child that they began helping other children, and Variety, the children's charity, was born. Read the full story and support the entertainers charity that supports kids in need today. Visit variety.org.au. You're listening to the School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast with me, Maury Morgan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next comedian.
Shouldn't drink on an empty head, you know that, don't you?
That is the shittiest heckle I have ever heard in my life.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
What's a bucket list?
You have dangerously underprepared yourself for the shit that is about to get real.
Zack Dyer won Raw Comedy 2017, and he can probably thank Pauline Hanson for his success, her and his uncanny impersonation of seagulls. Keep listening to this podcast and you'll understand. Coincidentally, Zack, now based in Melbourne, triggered his comedy career by watching a Raw Comedy heat in Brisbane before returning to his hometown of Townsville. 5 years of practice and Zack knew he was ready, not only to compete in Raw, but to win it. That's how confident he was. In this School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast episode, Zack shares his secrets to winning Raw, his advice to those entering the competition, and why confidence is the winning ingredient. If you're entering Raw Comedy or want some practical advice on how to improve your stand-up comedy set, then you'll enjoy this interview with 2017 Raw Comedy winner, Zack Dyer.
That's not the hardest thing about being a Queenslander living in Victoria, though. The hardest thing is I find myself apologising quite a bit for what happened up there last year during the election. They voted Pauline Hanson into the Senate. Or as I like to put it, they summoned the Red Dragon. Remember there used to be a time where you could forget that Pauline even existed. Like she'd only be relevant around election time. Like an election would come up and she'd pop up out of nowhere like a seagull pops up when you open a scoop of chips. It'd be election time and out of nowhere, oh! Asians. Like, oh fuck, that's right, Pauline Hanson's a thing. Oh! Islam. I do think she would make quite a good seagull, though, Pauline Hanson. She's white. She's quite shrill. She's got, like, this general mentality of there's not enough to go around. She owns a fish and chip shop. If nothing else, she'd be popular, right? She might make the seagull Senate. You'd see her every now and then on top of a bin. I fear our car park's being overrun by Indian minor birds. Just want to feed her some aspirin and watch her pop.
G'day, Zack. How you doing?
I'm very well, Maury. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. You're in Melbourne right now, I believe.
Yep. Here in Melbourne.
Excellent. And I believe you're heading up to Albury-Wodonga in a couple of hours.
Yeah. Hopefully we make it because of this rain. But yeah, heading up there. First time I've driven through Albury before, but first time ever stopping off. So that's exciting.
Excellent. So you're performing a quick set and then heading home, or are you just going to stay in Albury-Wodonga?
We're going to do the show, quick set, and then heading back the same night. Weather depending, I guess, but I think we should be fine.
Yeah, it's a big... Yeah, for anyone listening to this later, well, in, December the 1st, 2017, there's a big potential downpour, big flood potential hitting Melbourne and regional Victoria. So if you're listening to this after December 1st, you know that everything was fine. Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about Zack Dyer. We're here to talk about your winning performance. We've just heard your winning performance, or a slice of your winning performance from Raw Comedy 2017, where you did a great seagull impersonation, or rather a Pauline Hanson impersonation, combining a seagull. That's a great joke. I understand that you actually are very good at doing seagull impersonations well before you combined it with Pauline Hanson. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's something I'd been doing for years, actually, just at work and stuff, making the boys at work laugh during lunch.
Yep.
A few seagulls around. And eventually I found the correlation and was able to put my special talent into a joke.
Yeah, we were talking offline a moment ago, and you were a little concerned that Pauline wouldn't be a big thing in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, I just wasn't sure. Like, I just didn't know how well known I do now. And after I wrote the joke, is when she actually got voted in and stuff. So she had blown up big time. She's in the media a lot, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, not to her electorate and most people of Australia, but it was helpful for me and my joke.
Yeah. Well, you're a bit younger than me, but I remember I was at university when she got in first time round, and that was about 93, I believe, 93 or 94. So, yeah, look, she's got a very strong brand, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Great joke, very, very funny, and perfect timing because she's back.
Yeah.
Now, you won Raw, and as a consequence of winning Raw, they sent you to Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I believe this is the first time you've actually been overseas.
Yeah, it was my first trip overseas. Once I won the competition, Raw, I had to go and get myself a brand new passport, which is very exciting. And yeah, it was like I said, it was my first time ever. I was by myself, but it was a very, very good experience.
And the reason they sent you to Edinburgh Fringe Festival was to actually another competition, right? So You Think You're Funny?
Yep, yeah, they put me through to the semi-finals of So You Think You're Funny.
Oh, so you automatically get through the semi-finals, or you have to go through the heats as well?
No, it's automatically into the semi-final.
Oh, right, you get like a wild card entry. It's kind of like going to university and skipping a couple of subjects because you've done them in TAFE or something, is it?
Yeah.
And how'd you go? How was that experience?
Yeah, it was fun. My set went well. I had to change it a little bit. I obviously couldn't do the Pauline Hanson joke over there because they definitely didn't know who she was.
No.
But yeah, no, it was really, really good. I had a good set. It's kind of weird to go from Raw, which is like the finals, like, I don't know, 1,500 people or something, to over there. I think it's a bigger competition, like history-wise, but it's like a smaller scale. Like the room is a lot smaller. It was maybe like a 300 or 400-seater room.
Right.
And I don't even think it was full, but that wasn't the final, mind you. That was the semi-final.
Yep.
But yeah, I had a great set, but I did not get through the semi-final. Everyone was hilarious. It was a very, very solid competition.
And they're from all over the world?
Yeah, all over Europe, at least. I think there's maybe one or two other people in a similar situation to me where they had won a competition somewhere else in their home country, and that got them the ticket to So You Think You're Funny as well.
Yep. All right. Well, you started comedy in 2012, if my research is correct.
I did, yeah.
And then you won in 2017. So you had a 5-year sort of running start to this. At what point in this year, 2017, what point did you think, you know what, I could actually win this?
I thought I could win it from the start. I had confidence in myself.
Yeah, good.
Just go in. That's the whole point. I think why would you enter if you're not looking to make it all the way?
Yep.
But I mean, like, just once, I don't know, like, it's good to have confidence like that, but also I never took it too serious. It's like, well, at the very least, they're great gigs, all the heats and everything. It's like, 100 people, 200 people that are just there. They know it's like a comedy competition, so they're super supportive. So I just went into every heat with that attitude, being like, well, at the very least, they're here to laugh. All I need to do is get up there and do my stuff. And you had, from my understanding, you had about 30 people in your heat, and your first heat was at Evelyn in Victoria? Yeah, the marathon. It's a marathon, is it? Oh, absolutely. It goes for hours and hours. And so how do you know when you're on? Do they give you a time slot, or do you just all rock up and they pull your hat? Pull your name out of a hat? Yeah, you rock up at the start and they have a line-up, so you see where you're at. And I think they do a little break in the middle somewhere, maybe. Yeah, right. How long's the whole heat go for? Oh, mate, I think we got there at midday or something. It started at 1, and I think it was like a 3 or 4 hour event. Yep. It was, it was very... What month did they start? I just remember it being super, super hot.
I think it starts around the end of January for 2018, so possibly the same for this year.
All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, right. And then you made it through the heat, obviously. Obviously, you made it through all the heats and semi-finals because you won it. Then you headed off to Howler, was that right? Was that the semi-final?
There was two heats at the Ebb one, the state final at Howler, and then obviously the grand final.
And in terms of the stress, because you've got all these very funny people, and obviously a lot of people who aren't funny, but you've got a lot of funny people. How did you cope with the stress levels?
I didn't stress, mate. It's either you get up there and make them laugh, or you don't. You know, you get through or you don't. There's nothing to lose.
Yep.
So there's nothing at stake, really. If you don't get through, you can still go and do comedy elsewhere, and it's not the be all end all. So there was no stress for me at all.
Ah, right. Well, that's a good point. I mean, not only is it not the be and end all of comedy, but you can also enter totally 3 times. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Was this the first time you entered, or had you tried before?
No, this is the first time I'd entered.
Okay, fantastic. My understanding is you got into comedy. You weren't 5 years prior to winning the 2017 Raw Comedy, you got into comedy because of Raw Comedy in Brisbane.
Yeah, so I kind of had an idea in my head that I wanted to do comedy. I always enjoyed it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was actually still living in Townsville at the moment, but I had a girlfriend who was living in Brisbane, and I was down there visiting her.
Yeah.
So we saw that the Raw Comedy heats were on at the Paddo, the sit-down comedy club in Brisbane. So we went along, watched the heat. A lot of it was great, and I thought, I reckon I could bloody do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was already planning on moving down to Brisbane. So I think it must have been 6-8 months later or something, I moved down. And then a few weeks after living there, I went and did my first set at the Newmarket Hotel in Brisbane.
Wow, excellent. And how was the first show that you did? Was it, some people have a ripper and that sets them up for life. Some people, it's a horror, and they're thinking, I'm not going to do it again.
I was super nervous, because I've never done any sort of stage acting or anything like that. I was never in the performing arts or anything like that, so I've got zero experience in it. But because in Brisbane you ring up and then you book a spot a week or two in advance. So once you're locked in, so you call up on one day, you think you want to do it, and then you've got 2 weeks to think of reasons why you shouldn't do it. But then eventually the day comes, and I just remember being at work. I was super nervous. I couldn't think of anything else the whole day. And I got there. I had a few beers. I got a little bit loosened up, but I was still super nervous. Got up there. What I wasn't expecting was how bright it was going to be. I couldn't see anything, like that light's right in your eyes. And I actually did pretty good. I got a lot of laughs. It was great. So that kind of cemented it. Afterwards, that feeling that I got, I was like, oh man, this is all that I want to do.
Right. My understanding, prior to moving down to Victoria and getting into comedy, you worked in a couple of interesting spaces. One was, my understand, sewerage or manhole cleaning?
Manhole restoration.
Manhole restoration, not to be confused with anything sewage related, of course. But,
Oh, no, they were sewage manhole.
Oh, were they? Okay. It's easier to meet girls if you just say restoration.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to sound like you're cleaning out the sewers.
That's true.
I'm a restorer.
Restorer, yeah, there you go. And you were doing that, and I believe it was quite a messy job, a wet and dry and dusty job.
Yeah, I hated it.
And then you did tree lopping, I believe?
Yeah, I actually got a job tree lopping after the 2011 cyclone Yassi.
Yeah,
it hit Innisfail, but also Townsville got affected, and there was lots of damage, lots of trees down, and we actually had a tree fall on our house. And
wow,
through the insurance, my dad got a tree lopper in, and it was actually an old friend of his. And obviously, because there's so much to do, he had a lot of positions available. So I started on with him straight after the cyclone, and I ended up working there for 5 years. Well, I kind of moved to Brisbane and back in the middle of that. Yep. But I did that job for around 5 years. Yeah,
great. How much of these jobs, they sound like exhausting, tough. How much of that exhausting, tough experience actually helped you define and build your comedy
I think a lot. I think, especially the tree lopping job, it's a real larrikin's job. You know, there's all kinds of people that do that job, and everyone, because it's hard work. It's not super. Oh, it is serious, but you know, it is a lot of fun to do as well. So, I think that helped a lot. Just general sense of humour, just good driving around, cutting down trees, having a laugh. It's a great job.
And they're both very dangerous jobs, though. I mean, being in a hole with gas and potential explosions, but also inhaling the gases, and then tree lopping, of course, either falling from a tree or being hit by a branch or a tree.
Yeah. There's a certain element of danger to both of them. Definitely, I think that's what makes definitely tree lopping fun. It's exciting.
And now you're doing a job that possibly is the safest, cleanest job in the world, standing up on a stage. I mean, you might get some bacteria off the microphone, but from the guy before you, big difference.
I had a beer thrown on me once.
Did you?
That's probably the dirtiest I've gotten doing comedy.
What was the reason for that? Was it a lady?
I wasn't even on stage. My mate was on stage.
Okay.
And he was an Indian guy, and he was doing a joke that someone perceived as racist of some kind, some older guy, and he got very upset. This was up in Townsville. The guy got upset, and my mate was wasn't being offensive whatsoever. I can't really remember exactly what he was saying. And then on the way out, he was kind of getting kicked out, and he was yelling. And then as he walked past, I was just like, "Get out of here, mate!" And he just threw his beer all over me.
Right.
Big prick. Yeah.
Was this guy getting thrown out a white guy?
Yeah. But I think he was doing jokes about being Indian, I think. I can't remember. I just remember the guy being very, very offended and upset, and everyone else was very confused by that.
Okay. Well, technically you could have been anyone and got that beer thrown on you, so, you weren't necessarily doing comedy at the time. Had you, Jim Jeffries got punched in the face while performing, I think, in Manchester. Yeah. Have you had anything like that?
Nah, thankfully. I wouldn't like to brawl on stage.
No brawls, yeah. So your hecklers have been restrained over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're not. They haven't been violent anyway.
No, right. Well, the people that listen to this podcast, obviously, they want to know about Zack Dyer. They want to know about how you won Raw. Probably quite a few people who are listening to this have entered Raw for 2018. Or this could be an old podcast that they're listening, and it's now 2019. What kind of advice would you give anybody who's entering Raw comedy?
Just get that 5 minutes that you're working on as tight as possible. Get as many punchlines in it. Mm-hmm. Don't, which is for any 5 minutes, but for Raw, because you're going for something. So work on that in the months leading up to the first heat or whatever. Yep. And so you're confident in it. So no matter how nervous you get when you get up there, you've done those jokes so many times, you know how they work. It'll just become second nature. And also don't let the nerves get to you. And that's a very tough thing to do for some people. But I think because it is so many new comics and they've all put so much on this, and there's 30 of them sitting at the back of the room together, that energy sort of spreads around. And people often get flustered by that, I think. But the way I look at it, like I said earlier, it's just there's a room full of people that all they want to do is laugh at your jokes. So as long as you're confident and comfortable with your jokes, because you've been doing them leading up, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, great. And in terms of writing jokes, so maybe someone has 5 minutes, but maybe not tight enough. Where do you get your inspiration? Do you have a technique for writing a joke from scratch or polishing a joke?
I think the best premises and ideas, I think, just come to me. I don't really sit down and write a killer joke. So they kind of just come to me while I'm at work, or sometimes I like to go for a walk to a gig or something like that, and just go over stuff, and that's how I get a lot of new tags and stuff. So I'll be thinking of the jokes that I want to do, and then as I'm going, I was like, oh, that would be funny there as well. There's another line. But I think the premise is just coming. I think I have ADD or something. I was never a good student, so I can't really sit down and write stuff out. I'm no good at that.
So when you've got a premise, when you've got an idea, it might be about a seagull and a politician or anything else, how do you then because it's just an idea and it's probably heavy with words. How do you cut it down so you've got the bare minimum?
Just go on stage and do it until it's tight and funny. So just go on stage with the idea. It's probably going to suck the first time. Sometimes they don't, which is great. But you go on stage, you do it. I'll record all of my sets.
Yep.
So you go on stage and you do it. You get a laugh here or there. Sometimes the laughs come where you don't expect them to. Sometimes they don't come where you do expect them to. And that can just be wording or like the pacing of it. Then I just listen back and think, because then once I listen back, I'm an audience member. I am listening to a joke. And so I can sort of figure out, like, why didn't that work?
Right.
And then just adjust it from there, I guess.
Yeah, right. So what do you do? Put your mobile phone down beside you and press record?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, very good. And I'm going to jump to a personal question. It's about the look of Zack Dyer. Now, have you always had the haircut and the moustache throughout your comedy career, or is it something that only you developed for Raw?
No, I got a haircut last year, and it was kind of a little bit long at the back, and I liked it, and I was just thinking, I might be able to pull this off, I reckon.
Yeah, right.
And then I actually do a joke about it when I went into the hairdresser. I didn't want to say that I wanted a mullet, so I was just like, just cut the sides and the top and leave that back a bit long,
Yeah.
And then, and she was just like, do you want a mullet? I was like, yeah, but not a crude one. And then, she did it. I was very happy with it, and I've sort of stuck with it since.
Yeah, right.
And the mustache that's the only decent facial hair I can grow. If I try and grow a beard, it looks disgusting. So I'm just like, I just grow the mustache because it's nice and thick.
Yep.
And I don't know, adds a bit of character, I guess.
Well, it certainly does. Makes you recognisable anywhere. Is that a piece of advice for comedians, that you have something that makes you look unique?
Yeah, I guess so. But don't. As long as you're comfortable with it, I think you just look how you want to look. Just don't try and be something just because you think that'll be funnier on stage or that'll work or something. Just, if you want to look like something, then just go for it, I think.
Yeah, right. Because you're in that sort of no man's land of bogan or hipster. And prior to this interview starting, you had to run off and grab a coffee. So I'm kind of leaning towards more the hipster.
I think I'm in transition, mate.
You are?
I was born in North Queensland, raised by a single dad.
Yep.
Who drives a concrete truck, very bogan upbringing, but I also live in Fitzroy North, and that coffee that I got was a flat white with almond milk.
Oh, there you go.
So I think I'm a good mixture of both. I'm crossing the barriers.
Yeah, you wouldn't have survived tree lopping, that's for sure. So, yeah, lucky you're in this. You're in safe, clean Melbourne doing stand-up and only have beers thrown on you.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, you are, as we discussed, you are off to Albury-Wodonga tonight, but when people hear this, that'll be in the past. Have you got anything happening over the next couple of weeks? We're going into Christmas 2017. Anything coming up, or even next year, 2018, the Melbourne International Comedy Festival?
Before Christmas, I'm just doing a few gigs around town. I think next week I am at Attic Comedy Club on Chapel Street. Very, very fun. And also George's Bar, which is in Fitzroy on Johnson Street. I'm doing those next Thursday. Christmas, I'm going up to Townsville, visit my family and friends. And then in the new year, Comedy Festival, I am a part of Comedy Zone.
And what is Comedy Zone? Is that where they take sort of raw comedy winners and best-ofs, put them together?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think the raw comedy winners is usually on the lineup, and then also Bonnie Tangi's on the lineup as well. She was in the national final. Yep. And then just there's three other acts, one from Melbourne, one from Newcastle, and another guy from Brisbane. They're just red hot up and comers.
Excellent.
The comedy festival want to put on show.
Excellent. How many nights is that?
It's a full run.
Oh, wow. So every night?
Monday's off, I think.
Every night? For
every night. It's
4 weeks,
I'm not sure of the time.
Oh, wow. Busy. All right. Well, if someone wants to get in hold of Zack Dyer, they want to have you, I assume, do you do footy clubs and social gatherings as well?
Mate, I'll do anything.
Do anything? Good. How do they get in contact with you?
My name is Local Funny Man on all forms of social media.
Local Funny Man.
Or if you just put Zack Dyer on Facebook, you'll see me there as well.
Excellent. And not to be confused with Jack Dyer, who I know you don't know anything about Aussie rules, but is a famous footballer, I believe, from Richmond.
Yeah, I've gotten that a few times before. And it's Jack Dyer, and I have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I believe you haven't chosen the footy team, but that would be one to choose, particularly this year.
Yeah,
they've done well.
Yeah.
Well, mate, Zack, it's been great. Look forward to seeing you perform live, which is my next goal. Thanks very much for sharing your insights into raw comedy and what you did and how you won. You've done great. You've got the look, you've got the jokes, you've got the gigs around town, and you'll obviously, this is the beginning of a fantastic comedy career.
I hope so, mate.
Yeah, well, and again, I joked about you having a TV spot, but I reckon with ABC2 requiring a lot more content for their comedy channel, there could be one down the line.
Yeah, it could be something going. Who's hoping?
Excellent. Yeah, the Bogan Hipster. That could be the title. All right, Zack, well, thanks very much for your time, and enjoy Albury Wodonga.
Thank you so much, Maury. Thanks for having me.
Catch ya.